Welcome to Colombia. Hi, I'm Vasundhara Das, and I'm a musician, and music takes me to places I never thought it would ever do. Well, I went to Colombia some time ago to meet a friend of mine called Urian Sarmiento, the guy that you saw playing that weird looking flute. Well, it's called the Gaita flute, and this is somebody that I met right here in Bangalore, literally on the street. He was backpacking here maybe 18 years ago with a friend of his called Juan Monsalve. Both of them composers, they were both teaching at the Bogota University at the young age of 20, and really intrigued in the music of India and wanted to have some experiences in our music here. And that's how we met over coffee and got totally engrossed and embroiled into what the music of each other's countries was. And that laid the foundation for a friendship that really has lasted the test of time so far. Well, like I said, we bumped into each other so many years ago, and over a fortnight we really spoke, collaborated, and got really into each other's music. And at that point in time, I think I was just in college then, and I decided that I was going to have to make the long haul over to Colombia and get a glimpse of their culture and their music for myself. Someday, sometime. That's when I guess life happens to all of us, and we go on our individual journeys and we experience our own take on work, life, whatever. So that's what happened to all of us, and luckily for us, we got to get into really incredible journeys in what we loved, which was music. But Uri and I, we met many times, we kept in touch, we met many times in different places. Sometimes we'd actually find each other in the same city performing a concert, and then we'd meet up after. I remember a time in New York when we met right after each other's concerts, and we really traveled a great distance to meet, to keep our friendship going. So about 5 years ago, I decided it was high time to go and visit them to maybe fulfill a little dream or a thing on my bucket list that Vikram was talking to you guys about a little earlier. I really had wanted to go to Colombia for a long time. So arriving to Colombia, I think the first thing that I thought was, time becomes relative, because when I met Uri after so many years, even I think it was 13 years at the time, it didn't seem like even a day had passed. We'd been in each other's imagination over so many years, and we met, and he said, "Hey, we don't have time to waste. I have to take you to this big party, and I'm hosting it, and I'm calling a whole bunch of friends, and they're mainly musicians and dancers, and I'm sure you're gonna like it." It was an alley party, and we just went straight there. And that, you're looking at a few crazy images that I caught on my phone of people jamming. There was gear everywhere. There was setups. There were different kinds of people. You kind of got into the alley. You took a tour, like a U. You walked in. If you felt like you were liking something you were listening to, then you stopped to listen, or and then you came out. Or if you found someone you had an interesting conversation to make with, then you stopped to do that. So I just found that it was amazing, because you could hear jazz, you could hear cumbia, you could hear bujarenge and vallenato. These are folk forms of music from Colombia, and I really hadn't had the exposure to any of this before. And to see it so free-form, and to see it so easily accessible right there on the first night of my arrival into Bogota was fabulous. I felt like a little girl, really, like I was in wonderment of all of this stuff. I couldn't believe that these guys were so open. I mean, we've grown up around music here, but then this was like carnival. Anyway, so many times when you travel, you connect with people, and you keep them for life. You become connected, and you are friends for life. So music does something like that to you. So let me give you a little bit of a history of Colombia. Colombia was a colony of Spain. Bogota is the capital, as you know. And you have some interesting port towns of Colombia, like called Cartagena and Barranquilla. These were historically very important ports because a lot of the slaves from Africa first came into the Americas through these ports. And if you talk about geography, then the northern part of Colombia is the Andean Mountains. It's actually called the Sierra Nevada mountain range of the Andes. And then the southeastern part of Colombia has a portion of the Amazon rainforest. And over there you have the Pacific Ocean, and you have a little bit of Caribbean coast that you get on the north of Colombia. And the northern coast of Colombia is host to some very interesting forms of music called gaita, bujarengue, bajanato, and there are these old masters of these forms of music that are literally in their 90s, and they didn't have a way out. They have people that have learned from them, but they're all very, grassroots level, poor, all of that. So what happened was there was a documentary filmmaker that went and took Urian with him, and then they shot these amazing documentaries of these people and their forms of music that were actually national folk forms of Colombia, which were going to be lost if people didn't know about them. And incredibly, in the years to come, these people who are still alive in their 90s became these huge rock stars because these documentaries became so famous, and now they're traveling with huge passports, like Danish was talking about a little earlier. They're traveling all over the world, giving performances, and it's really interesting. So anyway, my entry into Colombia was actually through Cartagena, like all of these people that came before me. That's Cartagena, and it's very well known for its colonial style Spanish architecture. There's a lot of deep resentment for the colonialization of the country, but we'll talk, that's a whole other conversation. But anyway, Cartagena is really pretty. It will remind you of a Mediterranean town, a Mediterranean beach town, if you will, with cobbled streets and everything. And every now and then, if you walk down these cobbled streets, you'll find big plazas that suddenly open out, and you'll find people singing and dancing, and there's all of this crazy stuff going on. You just didn't know it was right around the corner from where you stood. Also, there are these wonderfully traditional women, like we have these women with push carts that are selling stuff, street food and all of that. So these guys, really, they're vibrant, and Cartagena is a really colloquial, amazing town to be in. So after a few days of spending quality time in Cartagena with some friends, going out to jazz clubs and to salsa clubs and dancing the night away. That's a Cuban band playing at a bar. With some friends, Mom was with me on this trip, decided to take a bus ride to a place called Santa Marta. Santa Marta is really famous because there's big plantations of cocaine all over the way. All right, so a friend of ours, Irma, who from the Netherlands, decided she just wanted to go where it's all at, and showed up in Colombia. No, I'm just kidding. She has this 40-acre farm just adjacent to some incredible ruins, and that's where she lives. It's a bamboo house, and it's pretty idyllic. You have babbling brooks, you have plantations, and all of that. So it's a real opportunity for someone like me, because I got to not only experience colonial cities and capital cities, bustling cities, but also rural life in a different country, which isn't sometimes something you always get to do. Well, Exhibit A, that's me trying to rappel down something. Santa Marta is known for a lot of its natural parks, great number of them around there because of the diverse kind of geographical uh, stuff going on. So we did some of this. We could, get out and do some rock climbing and things like that, which is what we did. Good things. And then, of course, such a contrast to life in Bogota. I mean, look at these pictures are actually of people from the gaita form of folk music. The gaita form of music comes from, like I said, northern Colombia, and the great master of gaita music is called Paito, and his group is called Paito and the Gaiteros from Punta Brava. Punta Brava is the place where they live. And so these guys, they traverse, right, through their travels as musicians. I mean, we do the same. So it's incredible. Some days I'd be waking up to the sounds of birds and babbling brooks, and some days I'd be waking up to the sound of a neighbor blaring his LP of an opera. Or some days we'd be going to bed right after we partied all night with gaiteros from Punta Brava. Just to give you a glimpse of what gaita music about, here's a small clip. Anyway, if you ask me what is the one thing that I really loved about my trip in Colombia, I'd say it's the people. They're genuinely happy and contented. They are really proud of who they are. They really revel in their heritage. They are fun-loving and they're open. They love new cultures. They love to explore and experience new cultures. So many evenings, we spent in these incredibly explosive encounters musically, but then there were many evenings that were spent really casually walking into parks, sitting in circles, singing, drumming, and these guys would meet maybe once a week or twice a week and drum and sing songs from their folklore. And it was a conscious thing that they were doing just to remember who they were and where they were coming from. So it was pretty incredible as a musician to have been privy on such an internal journey through somebody that was so invested into all of this stuff, and I was so lucky to have that. If music isn't your thing, and if you need some chicken soup for your soul, that's ajiaco, and I believe you me, that's chicken soup for the soul. It will give you a huge hit of immense happiness, and I haven't felt that kind of happiness eating something else. Colombia is a tropical country. The produce is awesome. It's amazing. And your typical meal in Colombia would be pretty similar to India. You'd have bread, rice, vegetables, lentil, but cooked completely differently, soup, and definitely a piece of meat or something. They have nature's bounty, especially when it comes to fruits, and a walk through any of their local markets will expose you to some smells, tastes, and it's pretty incredible. So I managed to score a bunch of meals just basically by offering up my mom to teach them how to make some basic Indian meals. So it was great. Moms do come in handy sometimes, right? Anyway, but I haven't really talked to you about the sites. I'll just do it really quick. For me, the trip was about music mostly, but of course, there's so much to see. These are the salt mines of Zipaquira, a short drive away from Bogota. These are basically salt mines, and the miners built these sculptures just for their own belief and for their own safety. Then there's, of course, Botero. Botero is an iconic sculptor from Michelin, which is a city in Colombia. And his iconic sculptures are all over most cities in Colombia. And they're very different because he mostly sculpts naked, big women. And you see them lying in the central plazas of all of these cities, and it's pretty incredible. And of course, there's a Transmilenio. Transmilenio was a revolutionary transportation system that Bogota introduced not too long ago, and it really changed the lives of the people. And the people actually changed the life of a city. That's the case of Bogota and most cities around the world, and I think that we're doing it right now here in Bangalore. But it's really an interesting time for a country like Colombia, which has so much to offer to the world in terms of art, culture, and just, travel. So, whatever your interests, whether it's music, art, dance, architecture, food, I'm sure you'll find a little something that you'll be intrigued by in Colombia. So, go. Thanks.